For the first time last night, July 10th, 2025, I watched Big Brother, which of course kicked off season 27. So, before work today, since it's a very early morning recording for me, I'm going to be diving into today my thoughts on my first ever episode of Big Brother. Now, I know obviously the first episode, they take some time, they introduce the people, etc. So, again, this is my first time ever watching it. I don't know a ton about the show. So, for those of you that are big super fans of the show, excuse my thoughts. If I say anything that is cardinal sin or anything you disagree with, let me know down in the comments section below. It's not going to be necessarily a long recording. I just want to give you a little bit of my thoughts on Big Brother. The article on this will be on Voltage Live and it will be in the description below once it goes up later today. But I wanted to get the audio and the video of this podcast up. You guys know that, yes, we are a sports podcast, but I've been expanding a little bit more outside of sports. I talked about Survivor, this past May, Survivor 48. I started watching Survivor in season 45 in 2023. So I am a little bit new to the reality game here. But I will say right off the bat that I did like Big Brother. I like the concept of it. Obviously you have 16 house guests and potentially 17. It sounds like there could be a twist this season. Um, obviously living for 3 months in a confined space with no access to social media. Obviously, just like Survivor, another wonderful social experiment. You get to meet people from different ages, different backgrounds, different walks of life, and then competing in challenges to win, $750,000. I think it is a really unique concept. I think right off the bat, the editing by the producers I thought was really good. I thought they did enough, in my opinion, to really showcase everybody. I think that's one of the things that sometimes Survivor, and again, I don't want to compare Survivor to Big Brother. I know they're two different shows, but they're both are under the CBS umbrella. I thought for the most part, they really did a good job getting to know everybody. And it's really hard when you have 16. And then, obviously, Riley there comes in at the end of this episode. And, I think they really do a good job talking her up and talking about how she was, the runner-up of season 12, how she won season 13, how big of a threat she is. And I thought that the profiles on each person, you really got to know everybody and their goals and their motives and their backgrounds. They spent about the first half hour on that on the show. I thought that was really well done. I thought some of the camera shots and the feel of it, and even though it wasn't live, and obviously, I'll see how it works with the live votes and everything. But I thought some of the camera shots, were different angles. They felt live, etc. One of the things that I think that they should do is add more music, to challenges. Make the challenges sort of more dramatic. It sort of feels like you're just watching people do challenges sort of like they're there. And I get it because, while they're there, obviously there's not big music playing, there's not a big bass drop, anything like that. But I think when you're watching it on TV, I think the more aesthetically, the challenges, even for the challenge of like the head of household, was not that intense. And I think that I want more intensity, I want more drama, I think, out of the challenges. Um, you know, I do like the Hotel Monsieur they're going in this year where the lights could go off or the the brick could disappear. You got to find Julie who also disappeared, etc. I really like the mysterious part of that. It is scary. I think it brings a unique. I think it's going to set this season apart from other seasons. So that portion I do like of it. Um, one of the things that I did not like right off the bat is how they sort of separated the house guests, how four people entered, then four people entered, then four people entered, then four people entered. I think it would have been a lot better because, I don't know if they did this back in the day. to have all 16 people, or if they've expanded over the years. I think at one point I read it was 12. To have all 16 people enter the house at once, go mad crazy, get their room, etc. One of the things that I am wondering about is, what are they allowed to bring, right? Are they allowed to bring clothes? I know they're obviously not allowed to bring any entertainment, but are they, allowed to shave? Um, they're obviously, I assume, allowed to bring their own toothbrushes. Anything about medication, I'm sure they're allowed to bring, but are there rules against that? Does production have to handle that? You know, what kind of bags are they allowed to bring? Like the little stuff I am curious about, that for those of you that are big fans of the series can let me know down in the comment section below. Overall, like, I thought it was a good episode. It wasn't heart stopping or anything. Again, maybe that's just me trying to get into the series. For those of you that are big fans of Big Brother, let me know your thoughts on the overall episode down below. Currently, for those of you wondering, I am a big fan of Lauren. I think that, her being a Big Brother super fan really, pops out immediately. I think Adrian is a really smart, strategic player. Um, Vince, who's obviously that household out of the challenge last night, I think he is really thinking a big strategic game. And that's what I wanted to get to too. The one thing that I did find interesting about Big Brother is, whenever you watch Survivor, right, you hear all these thoughts about, oh my God, I don't want to be perceived as a threat. I want to be liked by everybody. On Big Brother, that even transitioned, to the challenges. And with that, some people not wanting to compete in the head of household, some people not wanting to win the advantages. Which, the first advantage was won by Zach, and he won $10,000. And then Jimmy was the one who won the other challenge, and he had to pick along with himself who was going to play in the out of household challenge. I thought that the concept of the challenges, a very deep, dark layer, was interesting. It looked aesthetically great on camera, but again, I just wish that they would add more dramatic music and make more of a dramatic scene out of the um challenges there. But I'm very interested to see, you know, how the dynamic and the relationships are working out. I don't know. I know a lot of people say that Big Brother on TV is different than the live feeds because of my day job. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to monitor all the live feeds, so that'll be interesting. But I find it really interesting the worry of the threat level immediately of like, oh my God, if I win a challenge, am I going to be a threat versus outweighing the reward. Like $10,000, I know you're playing for 750,000, but $10,000, I'm sorry, was worth winning. Even if I get first eliminated on Big Brother, hey, I got the experience of Big Brother and I won $10,000. Like, so I guess that's kind of my thought process. Like, I would always try to win the challenge. I find it kind of weird that people were thinking about throwing challenges just so then they could not be a target on their back, when I think power in this game early on could lead to potential dynamic alliances. But again, from everything I heard, if you and what I was told from family that watched the show is, if you think Survivor has a lot of backstabbing, you haven't seen Big Brother yet. The Big Brother social media, especially on X, Twitter, seems very, very opinionated, very controversial. It seems like a very fun space. I'm excited to dive into that. But yeah, it's pretty much all I got. Overall, it was a good show. I wouldn't say I'm completely hooked on it yet. I'm gonna watch, the next couple episodes and see what comes about it. Again, I thought it was good. I did not think it was the greatest premiere ever for any show. There's some production changes, and I think that for an hour and 30-minute show, it didn't really feel like it needed to be that, and it sort of felt like the challenges were a little bit slower in terms of coming up and more random, which I did not love with that. So that's my thoughts on the Big Brother premiere season 27. I think Us for sure is going to be a very interesting I think there's going to be a lot of twists and turns, which I do like twists and turns. I think it's going to set this season apart. But let me know if I missed anything big. Let me know if you guys completely hated my opinion on the show. And with that, enjoy today's special edition of Brandon's World, where we're talking Big Brother. And have a great weekend. Have a great Friday. And peace. Like that clip from the Brandon's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brandon's World podcast right here on YouTube.